I'm calling you Holly. Lucky world here on the Showgirl
Aw.
deck interview series for the emerging deck, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I can't stand, I have to introduce you right away to Holly Shaw, who I'm so delighted. I have been on Holly's podcast before several times,
Several times.
and just look in her eyes and you can see the spark. This spark is not just shining out her radiant essence. This spark gets shit done in the world. She makes stuff. She doesn't just think about it. Holly makes stuff. She's a performance coach and author of Amazon bestseller book called The Creative Formula. And she's been a lifelong artist, actor, dancer, comedy, stand-up comedy has a lot of her attention recently. Very beautiful, Holly, how you bring so much to earth, you know. Yay. and here, as I'm bringing to earth this deck, I'm so delighted that you are going to look at 3 cards with me.
Yeah. Can I ask you a quick question about the deck?
Oh my God, please do. Please do.
Okay. So I got a sneak preview just a second ago before we start recording, but I'm curious, like, what is your overall intention? You know, different decks have different intentions, and I know this has probably been brewing in you for years, and it's like, how are people supposed to use it? What
Yeah.
does it serve for people? I'm so curious.
Thank you so much for asking. That's a wonderful question. It's so grounding and it's so specific, and it brings me into specificity, which just happens to be the card we're going to look at. This is a deck about embodiment, which I'm happy this term. It's a little weird to me because I've been talking about embodiment for decades, and just over the last couple of years, it's actually come up from the subculture. You hear and see this word embodiment all over. And I notice now, it's like, wait a minute, everybody's talking about embodiment. Yay. So
Yeah.
what is, I mean, for me, if you ask 10 different people, you'll get 10 different answers. But for me, embodiment is literally inviting and making the physical body a happy home for our spirits to inhabit, and using our bodies to experience being spirit in a body. So it's this marriage of heaven and earth in the body. And this deck, honestly, it really, I can say who it's for. To say how it can be used, there are so many, there's like mini decks within it. There's a mini deck with the Showgirl Awakening archetypes of the diva and the starlet and the muse, who we might talk about.
Right.
There's a mini deck within it about the movements, the archetypal movements of shimmying and extending and circling. There are more there. So it's honestly, it's sort of a map, like in a mystery school where you would have this beautiful map of all of the levels of some aspect of consciousness, or here it's all of the aspects of how to come alive. And here's where I have to kind of interject, who's it for? It's most especially for highly sensitive people, which is a lot of people on planet Earth. You know, high sensitivity is a genetic trait that is how about 1/5 of the human species, which is a lot of people. So it's definitely aimed at highly sensitive people, and it's aimed also at folks who have been interested in embodiment and psychological growth and spiritual awakening. That those 3 topics are when those get brought up, especially all 3, it's like, I'll stop anything I'm doing and listen. This is it's a map that if you take any, like any good metaphysical construct. If you take any single card of the 58 and you learn it, practice it, embody it, follow it down the rabbit hole that it takes you, you'll come to full embodiment.
Mm.
And they're just, each one is a little different doorway in, a little different doorway in. So there's all these doorways in, but it leads ultimately to the card at the center. This is really just this big circle here. This is a hand sketched. This will accompany the deck at first in a digital form, where you can print out a mandala to see how all of the cards relate to each other. And at the very center is the mystery. Because really, that we even exist, that we are these sentient, sensitive consciousness in a body, each with a unique fingerprint, a unique point of view. I mean, that is just, it's bizarre if you start to think about it. Don't think about it too long while you're in isolation. We're doing this taping while we're doing shelter at home. It might be too much to contemplate. That's why I like to come into my body, because it grounds me as a sensitive person. And this is a map of coming down and in rather than up and out. Shoot, that makes me think of another card. It might be our third card. We might do that. We might do that one. But anyway, how did that answer that, Holly?
Yeah. No, you fully answered it. All around, all the parts.
Let's come into.
Sounds like a choose your own adventure, like embodiment, spiritual path. It sounds really cool. I can't wait.
It is choose your own adventure. It's meant to make it fun and tactile. And of course, you could just pull a single card a day as you would an oracle card, and let that be, or for a week or for a year, and have it be really simple like that too. But the card I want to look at with you, because you're a creator, and the way to be a creator, the only way to create stuff is to get specific and to make choices. And darn it, this is the second time I've wanted this quote today. And I remember neither who said it nor the exact words, but the essence of it, and you might know, is when a piece of art is done because there's nothing left to take away. It's not there's nothing left to add. There's nothing left to take away. And then you see it, whether it's the dance or the words in the book or the deck. It's when there's nothing left. This is it.
I love that.
Love that too. And I know, because I am a burlesque from the inside out mentor, and I know that if someone shows me their act in development, and I know nothing about it, I don't know the song, I don't know the costume, I don't know the choreography, 95% of the time, if I could only give one constructive piece of feedback, it would be take more out, do less, hands down, maybe 99% of the time, really high. I don't know. Do you have thoughts about specificity that just want to bubble up? Or
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes me think about like my book.
Yes.
but just you know,
I was thinking of your book. Yeah.
Right, because in the creative formula, I talk about like the 3 steps of creativity: the alignment, getting ready to create, the allowing, sort of letting all the ideas flow, and then the articulation, which is where you have to edit, you have to make choices, you have to whittle down, you craft, and it's exactly what you're saying. Like, you have to take stuff out, right? It's like a comedian who tells jokes and they have so many words that you get tired trying to find the joke in there. And and I think the best artists, understand that they, sometimes it's just simpler is better. Like, you have to give people a way in, and sometimes they can't see the art for all the trees.
Yes. So if I'm shimmying my shoulders and circling my hips and waving my head around, you don't know where to look. But if I might do that for a second just to express chaos or to express
Sure.
wild ecstasy. But then if I pause my head and my hips and it's just my shimmies, you know exactly where to look. I know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm telling you. And I love, love you mentioned, I haven't always used those exact terms, but that's it. In fact, it's exactly where we are in a burlesque from the inside out online performance program that's happening literally yesterday. We had the class where it went, we shifted from, what do you call the first one, allowing?
Allowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were working the allowing for the first 2 weeks, where we were just catching the gold, catching the gems, just creating the space in which we go, oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that movement. And then it, and then we were culling the jewels. Like, no, we're not going to carry all of that into the final product. It was the articulation. It's the
Hmm.
choosing. Oh, what are the favorite themes and movements? And then we'll make choices. It's
Yeah.
it's a little bit, I love that shift because I know it. And I know that it can feel clunky at first because my I'm embodying all the things and I'm doing all the movements.
Yeah.
It feels a little bumpy. I call it right brain and left brain too.
Yeah.
Get into our right brain
It can
goodness.
feel it can feel like hard work sometimes
Yeah. Or
because
like,
it's all of a sudden you have to sit down and make some choices and then remember your choices and then
yes.
and there's like some back and forth and yeah,
And
that's
then,
when some people give up. Actually, there's a lot of people that are like, I just like to improvise. Yeah,
yes. And then that's its own art.
sure.
Its own art. But in order to make a thing, you have to go through the negotiating of the right and the left and make the choices. And for a little while, it doesn't feel as inspired. And then it comes back around. And then it's a living, breathing, if it's a performance, it becomes a living, breathing performance that talks to us. And no, we don't. I mean, in certain performances, you do
Mhm.
need to do exactly the same thing,
Yeah,
especially when there are other people who are
sure.
expecting you to. But in a
Yeah,
solo, you can know it well enough
yeah.
and then break and then add in a little without it becoming a totally different one. That is a delicious.
Yeah, because you've already created the world. You've created the world that you've decided your parameters, right? You've created
Yes.
your
Yeah.
parameters, so there's still always room to be creative inside of the like little world you've created.
I love
Yeah.
that. You
Oof.
created the world, so then you get to play with it. You created it and you completed it. And from there, you get to tinker.
Yeah.
I love that. It's just the key. I hope that's inspiring to someone listening or watching who might be at that place in whatever they're creating and feel like, I'm going to give up. I'll tell you, I've had that with this deck, actually. Even
Oh.
right now, I'm at the point where, oh my gosh, gotta, images are done. Come on, words. Capturing, pardon me, culling of words.
Hmm.
Yep, yep. So if we boil down specificity, as we've been talking about it, into a line or two, would you give it a go, Holly?
Oh, specificity is the opportunity to make choices and to expand the possibilities by narrowing the parameters.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not in love with the word parameters, but it's close.
Narrowing the field or the frame, or
Mm, I like the fields.
narrowing the field. Yeah, expanding,
It's clarifying too. It's almost,
clarifying
I
is,
mean, I just like the idea that it's expanding while it's also narrowing. I like the sort of um,
I think,
I
yeah,
like, yeah, I like that idea that it could be both expansive and narrowing.
I,
But it's
I think
also, but
it
through that, it's like more clear. You're just becoming more clear. It's like our,
is.
that's why I call it articulation. You're becoming
Yes.
more clear.
I think I think that there is that tension of opposites in a good way of the more clear it is, the more I can inhabit the choices, especially if it's a physical piece of art. The
There
more
you
I
go.
can inhabit, and then I mean just literally like, oh, I can put the gloves on and they fit me. They exactly fit me. They're not big enough for three fingers in each glove finger. They're, oh, I've articulated this so I know what I'm wearing metaphorically. I know what I'm
Yeah.
wearing. I know how I'm doing. So yeah, I get to expand because I'm not wondering if I'm following the map. It's like it's choosing the map and then live the map.
Yes.
Choose the map, live the map.
Choose the map, live the map.
Choose the
And
map,
it
live
gives
the
you a
map.
path,
It's a
whether rather than just wandering around aimlessly in a field, which
yeah,
is what you would do if you didn't make any choices.
yeah,
Yeah. If you
beautiful.
didn't get specific.
Do you know on the Myers-Briggs? Do you know that one? Have you taken that?
Oh gosh, it's been a while. Remind me
It's
the
the
yeah.
last one I was going to look at. It's the J or the P. The last one is, are you happier before you buy the sweater or after you buy the sweater? Or do you plan your trip? Do you have a really detailed itinerary, make all the choices beforehand, or do you go and figure out? Do you prefer to kind of make the choices along the way?
Yeah.
Anyway, at heart, I am on the P side, which is left to my own nature. I'll make less of the choices beforehand. But
Mhm.
what helps me, I emphasize and practice the J side, which is making the choices because I know it works. I know it helps me, even if it's not my nature. I know it helps me. So,
Yeah.
so
So what is it when you make the choices, but then you let yourself change your mind? Because that's kind of what I do.
well, then you're probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum. It's
Yeah.
a spectrum. Which actually, I love that we're going to move from specificity to a new card, which has a typing element, like the Myers-Briggs. It's one of the 9 Showgirl Awakening archetypes. And,
Okay.
and I have a quiz. Oh, yay me for remembering to say I have a quiz called, well, you find it at showgirlawakening.com/quiz. And after you answer some questions, which Holly's going to do it again later today. She can't, we don't remember what she got originally, but
Yeah.
we're looking at
I don't know.
the muse, which in this, as I see the muse, when she's alive and well, and we all have an inner muse, when she's alive and well, we just create stuff and we don't pin all of our hopes and dreams on one. We begin and end creations. And the middle is what the middle is. And then we move on to the next creation. So,
Oh,
and we allow, they don't just sit in our drawer at home. We allow other people to see and be inspired by our creations. By creation, I mean anything. Like we make an omelet, we paint a picture, whatever the thing. Maybe not. I can't show everyone my omelet.
mm-hmm.
I do on social media, but I mean, we don't hide it. We just make it. It doesn't have to be perfect. We move on and we make a new thing. So that's the alive and well muse. I see you as an alive and well muse.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely, I've been living that very much recently with this whole quarantine. I'm doing so much better in many ways without a lot of driving and outside input. And but I'm still connected with people. I'm doing
Yeah,
collaborations like the Dancing Apart Together Apart project,
I know.
so like it's not that I'm not collaborating, but yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like, well, I kind of feel like I've been like your classical muse my whole life. Like I watched that, just really quick. I watched that movie Xanadu when I was very, very young.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cheesy movie, but like I think it sort of got in my psyche.
I
Like the idea of this muse, and she does all these different dances, and I used to roller skate, and I just like, I feel like I sort of have lived out that a lot of my life where I've like been other people's muse, but also as well like my own, at some point like I started to take probably like in my 30s, I started to take that charge of my own creativity and really, you know, digging in and making stuff
Yeah,
happen. It's
I
like the
love that. I
stuff.
love that. um, that movie probably came out in the 80s, huh?
I think it was like 1980.
So I checked out for the 80s, so I didn't ever see Xanadu. Maybe I'll go watch it. But in my experience, I most, oh, I didn't tell about this frame of these archetypes. Well, each one of us has them alive in some state. They're not always each as alive and well as Holly's muse. And my experience is my muse, I spent a lot of years with my muse in collapse. And you can just hear from that word collapse. And we've talked about collapse before. You know, just
Mm-hmm.
the when our inner muse is collapsing, she's maybe not even starting the project, or if she starts it, she doesn't finish it, or if she finishes it, she doesn't share it. And there's some, you know, it's so many things: perfectionism, not feeling worthy, being afraid to take up the spotlight, or all of these things. So, um, and many women that I've worked with in Showgirl Awakening have experienced collapsing muse, and she's one of the yeah, just having this experience of creating something all the way through and showcasing it. Like, here's, and in that case, it's like not just here's my thing, it's like here's me. Here's,
Yeah.
so working with the raw material of, that's the thing when you're using your body as your art form, it's very personal.
It is.
And
It's
it has,
like saying, look at me, you know, here's my art. Look at me, right? It's like,
yeah, very
yeah.
very direct transmission, very mm-hmm. What else do we want to say? Well, the muse is something I have, I feel like we covered her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered her. Oh
I
my
feel like it.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
So are you going to draw a card for
I can.
like,
I can. Yeah, let's draw one. If it's one that's already been covered, I'll just draw again. How's that?
that sounds good. Yeah, it's a good idea. Sorry, there's a lot of noise in my neighborhood right now. Sorry about that.
I can't hear it.
Okay, that's
No,
good.
I can't hear it. I drew the vixen. This is
Oh,
my just, you know, little home prototype. The
all
vixen,
right.
she's another one. She's another one of the archetypes. And while, oh, this inspires me actually to boil each of the two archetypes, sort of thing, be side by side, to boil them down to the verb or two that they most
Mm.
inhabit, or the verb that best describes. Like when the muse is alive and well, she creates and inspires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if she's collapsing or posturing is the opposite. Collapsing is when she's having shame.
Mm.
Posturing of any of the archetypes is that she's kind of blaming out. Oh, I didn't get that done because they didn't do their part, or, you know, that's the posturing,
Oh.
blamey side, and the collapsing. But alive and well, she just creates and inspires. And the vixen, when she's alive and well, she's a master at feeling. She
Ooh.
is not yeah, all of, and sensing, like all of her body sensations and all of her feelings, they are, she's totally groovy. She's not afraid of anger, her own anger or others. She's not afraid of passion. She's not afraid of hunger. She's not afraid of wild joy. She's not afraid of deep grief. She feels like a mofo. And yeah,
Huh.
she also
That's
tell,
interesting.
tell me what
Okay.
you Yeah, no, tell me what that makes you think of.
I mean, I feel like very sensual lately and just very like I've always felt like a super feeling person. But lately, yeah, I've just been kind of like letting myself be angry when I'm angry, like taking the action from that, taking the inspiration from that energy of anger and feeling all the feelings. And I've been feeling hungry and
Yeah,
sensual in many ways. And it's interesting that, like, you know, you think of the word vixen and it's almost like the word itself, before I heard your description, makes me think of almost being sexy on behalf of someone else,
right, right,
right?
right.
Like you're seducing that person or whatever, but the way you're describing it is almost like a seduction of self.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, it's
oh
almost,
yeah.
yeah.
It is. It's kind of a yeah. It is. It's a making love with your own, like, oh, I'm hungry. Chum chum chum. Oh, I'm angry. Yeah. It's just it's having this range, and this makes me want to actually thank you. Back up a little to say, what are, like, how did I arrive um at these archetypes? So they're, most of them, diva, starlet, vixen, bombshell, most of them come from old Hollywood, and that's how we, you know, the what we associate with the movies in which those archetypes were players, were
Mhm.
actors. And
Yeah.
my hit on that is that all of them that I'm aware of, I'm sure someone can find an obscure movie and say, no, she's alive and well, that they were all caricatures. So they were either collapsing or posturing. And I'm looking for, what is it when they're not in shame or blame? When they're not,
Mm.
what's the alive and well core? And that's what this is. So, uh, and how now,
How
how,
now?
how now, brown cow, at this time, for, I mean, some ways that we see collapsing or posturing vixen is with weird relationship with food. Yeah.
Mm.
Ad- uh,
Sure.
Addictions or any kind, not just food or sex or shopping, or when our hungers are out of whack and we're not in deep rapport with our hungers,
Mm-hmm.
we're looking for more of something and not recognizing, oh my gosh, I've had enough. Or we're pushing something away, we're allergic from it, I
Mm.
don't want any. So where allergies to things or addictions to things that have to do with hunger, where those come up, yeah, the vixen is not alive and well. She's taking, I think you said
Mm.
something that she's taking her cues from somewhere else, or she's not getting fed. She's not able to, she might put the food in her mouth, but it's not nourishing her.
Oh. Yeah, I'm starting to resonate with this in a like a sort of like my vixen I think is a little out of whack. It feels a little embarrassing to admit it, but I feel like it's my vixen's out of whack. That's why you drew it for me.
Oh,
So I could get that message.
okay. Well, I think at this time, because we're actually doing this talk during a time where much of the world is um, practicing physical distance,
Mhm.
and um, I wrote an article or newsletter about it today. It's really not good for bodies. It's really confusing. Our own appetites and hungers, and um, for touch,
Mhm.
or um, all of the ways that we sense if another person is in the room with us, which is far, it's not just if they're touching us or not. We feel them we feel them and, for example, now, because I had a little jump on the world, I was sick and at home for a couple of months before shelter at home happened. I
Oh.
had just gotten healthy,
Ugh.
and so I'm at 5 months of profoundly little human contact. And my body is totally confused. It's just, I don't know. I, I'm still, I'm walking and I'm doing some yoga and Pilates and I'm shaking, I'm doing my core movements, but I could do,
Sure.
and my body's still really confused. So I think that is happening on a global level. I think yours is not the your Vixen, who's a little off kilter, is in very good company. What might we do for our Vixens that are in collapse or posture or, well,
Yeah. I don't know. Would you draw a card for that?
no,
Do
we
I shimmy or
we
something?
shimmy, shimmying and shaking and turning are
Huh.
good.
Write
Both,
this down.
yes, and we can actually do a little together. But shimmying and shaking and turning, both kinds of turning. The ecstatic turning, which is just like full scale turn. You can spot. You don't have to do the dizzy kind of turning. And also pivots, like literally pivoting the body. I'm looking in this direction and I take a step and I turn my feet. I'm looking in that direction, turning. Or
Oh, that's interesting. I'm not allowed to pivot because of my knee injury, because of my
then
surgery.
so it's not only
I haven't been able to pivot.
then it's there you go. That I think we've now we know. You can employ the ones that you can. The shimmying and the shaking. Those are the three movements that are associated with the same camp that Revel is. I mean that Vixen is.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
associated with the first pillar of Showgirl Awakening, which is reveling in the body. Yeah.
Mm.
So we can even we don't even have to stand up. We can just sit here and we can bounce a little. We'll do our bounce shake.
Well, that's what we were doing before, right?
Oh, thank you. You instinctively knew. I like that. Oh, it's
Well, and I think about like when you orgasm, you shake. When you cry, you shake.
yes.
These are all ways that your body is trying to help you, right?
When we have a little trauma, if we have the wherewithal, we'll do like the animals do and shake. Often we go into freeze or flight or fight, but if we can make our way to shake, we can move through even little big medium traumas. Yep. Oh my gosh, it's funny. Orgasm is another card in the deck, but we've all it always wants to come up in every interview almost.
Well, knowing your friends and how we are, that makes sense.
What does that mean?
Who doesn't want to talk about orgasms?
Well, it's true. And but in this when I'm saying orgasm, I'm saying like the meta category, not just not just
the physical,
not just an
getting off.
isolated
Yeah.
physical, yeah, but the masculine and the feminine, like the receptivity and assertiveness, just in dynamically delicious dance in anything. Like you can come back to like making a creation, just like you do the allowing with the system of creative form. You do the allowing, you catch the juice. Oh, receive, receive, receive. Then now time to bring in the choice maker, the form creator. And when it's yummy, when they're dancing together, we know we've had this. Oh, it's like a whole person orgasm when they're both happening. So
Yeah.
I believe we can live in that state of orgasm much more of the time. I mean, that's just when we're really at peace and at home with our own creativity and our choice maker and knowing what we know. I like to call it spill the beans, count the beans. I might have mentioned that to you before. Spill the beans. To see what are all the beans I have. play with and receive all your beans, and then count them and make what you want to make with your beans. No, no, not purple. No. Ah, yes, yes. Pink and orange in the shapes of petunias, whatever it is. What there? You
I think you lost me somewhere with like spilling beans. I'm all of a sudden like, we're counting beans as an orgasm. I'm all of a sudden like,
okay,
I
yeah,
thought it was about flicking the bean. Okay, like.
Oh, okay. I moved from physical orgasm to the whole person, just experiencing all, having full access to all of the feminine principle,
Got it.
receiving it all. And by spilling the beans, it's like the beans that I catch when I'm doing an improv, like, oh my gosh, the ideas and the movements and the words.
Got it.
So there,
Okay.
that's the feminine.
Uh-huh.
And then, oh, now I have them all gathered. These are all my beans. These are all the jewels. Now what am I going to make with these beautiful beans?
I got it.
Oh, I don't want to use any of the purple beans. Ooh, this is all about the pink and the orange beans. And what shape? I'm just picking.
So going back to that choosing and specificity and
We've
the
come
creative
Yes,
process.
yes, exactly. The creative process.
Yeah.
Because the creative process to me is orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
It's different notes. It happens, but it's this interplay of, it has that paradox that I think you were reaching towards with specificity of it. It's the paring down that allows for the expanding.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's at the root of orgasm. It's the real exactly, if we want to get to a very physically based one, exactly that pace, exactly that pressure, yeah, exactly all those things, all that specificity, ooh, and that pace. That's where maybe I'm reaching for that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking to apply that same polarity.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for reaching and saying, where did you go, Kellita? Where did you go? Not everyone does that. So appreciate that you do it, Kelly. So good.
Keeping it real.
Welcome to my psyche.
I loved your psyche. It's so interesting in there.
So yeah, that was, we really we did spiral out from VIXEN and reached out and touched on some of the other notes that we had with specificity.
Yeah.
I think that the VIXEN, our world needs all of these archetypes to be lived from the center of self, from so many more of us. But the VIXEN, I'm glad we drew that, because she really tells the truth when she's alive and well. That's what it is. She's just she tells the truth without softening it. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And without blame either.
And without blame.
Blame or shame.
Or shame. Just, she's really good at knowing what she needs. She really knows what she needs.
I think my VIXEN is like really trying to come into balance,
Yeah.
I'm working on her behalf.
And she on yours.
Yeah.
We're both in that. Oh, Holly.
Did you get what you need, my dear?
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we say goodbye to the world?
Yes, sure.
Darling world, thank you for tuning in. Really delighted to share this with you, and would love to share the deck with you as it comes out. And we're going to share wonderful details for contacting Holly and in the world. Oh, Holly, your website.
Oh, sure. Yeah, people can find me at performersandcreatorslab.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yay. Thanks, world. Don't go anywhere, Holly.